Emanuel Lasker, The Life of a Chessmaster, Dr. Jhanak. Emanuel Lasker, The Life of a Chessmaster, with annotations of more than 100 of his greatest games. Foreword by Albert Einstein. 5. Playing the man or the board. Chapter 5. Playing the man or the board. When Tarrasch first met Lasker in that little Berlin tea room, he was bound to assume a somewhat patronizing air, so far as he deigned to notice him at all. After all, he was 6 years older, a prosperous undergraduate at the university and a budding master at chess, while Lasker was a mere schoolboy. Tarrasch graduated as a doctor in 1885, set up as a general practitioner in his native Nuremberg, and married a comfortably dowered young lady. Even in his mid-twenties he was very much the man of substance, very respectable and dignified, very much the solid, correct bourgeois ontologue of his time, a man of order and discipline and thoroughly immune to those hazardous adventures of body and soul that haunted poor Steinels. The young doctor had all the virtues of the model German citizen, his diligence, his solidity and his reliability, but he had his faults too, his righteousness and pedantry, his conceit and stubborn dogmatism. He strove to be, and indeed he was, the mentor of an entire generation of chess players, preceptor Germany they used to call him, and he rather liked to hear it. Indeed, he took it for granted. He was very much the schoolmaster. Tarrasch's interpretation of chess laid claim to eternal and inviolable validity. He would solemnly pronounce his theses as if they were edicts of a king or papal bull. Yet, a good many of them were disproved, even in his own lifetime. Let us open, at random, one of the best of his numerous books, the one about the great St. Petersburg tournament of 1914, and in the very first game we find this comment, a queen's gambit with the inferior defense PQB3. But it so happened a mere 20 years later that this inferior line, the Slav defense, was all the rage for years, almost exclusively adopted by both Alekhine and Uwe in the 60 games they played in their 2 contests for the World Championship. It was by no means the only one of Tarrasch's peremptory statements to be proved wrong. But then, that was inevitable, it was logically rooted in his character. His theory of chess was meant to be as precise and as infallible as a machine. He looked for the absolutely right move, but what he overlooked was that a human being is neither machine nor infallible. Tarrasch was the typical product of an era so satiated with wealth and self-assurance that, playing the man or the board. 33. It would cheerfully venture to solve all the riddles of the universe once and for all. That is how Tarrasch set about tidying the dynamic of Steinels's ideas. That was how he strove to regulate the maelstrom of their dark and dangerous torrents by a meticulous system of looks and damps, thereby giving the world a Steinitz, properly tamed, systematized and, above all, teachable and in much the same epochal order as the regulations of German army drill. It was a mighty undertaking, and a very meritorious one, for it was certainly Tarrasch who popularized Steinitz and made him digestible for mass consumption. He was his greatest interpreter. It was he who, for many a decade, as author, teacher, commentator, lecturer, and practicing master, did most to elucidate the mechanics of modern chess. He was certainly the founder and one of the leaders of a school of thought that gave chess the galaxy of great masters, a multitude of talent, and an ever-growing record of erudition. But by the same token, Tarrasch barred his own way to the real greatness of doubting one's omnipotence and wrestling with such doubts in one's own soul. He who presumes to know all, he who feels equal to solving his every doubt and problem may well enjoy a comfortable life, eased by self-satisfaction. But a really great men who walk this earth are made of different stuff. How does Emanuel Lasker fit into the picture? What is so peculiar and unique about his achievement as a chess player? Why was it greater than Tarrasch's and indeed anybody else's? True enough, Lasker was world champion, and Tarrasch wasn't. Lasker vanquished old Steinitz, and much later he twice defeated the aging Tarrasch. But surely, we mustn't assess a person's worth on the strength of material success only. There are many other circumstances to be considered, and in due course we shall get to know them. But there is one filing to be said and considered at once, so as to clarify matters even for those who know little or nothing about chess. It is that Lasker's very own chess philosophy did not emerge as ready-made as Pallas Athene stepped forth from the head of Zeus. It took a lifetime to mature, and once he had accomplished it he applied and handled it masterfully up to the end of his days. But even young Lasker, whose worldly wisdom was still small and who had yet to live and to learn, even he showed unmistakable traces of the very notions that were to make him so unique a chess player. What then were these unique notions? What made him so different from Tarrasch, and indeed from any other master? One thing certainly both Lasker and Tarrasch had in common: both would be unthinkable without Steinitz. Yet, they went in 30 for Emanuel Lasker, diametrically opposing ways. What Tarrasch had in common with Steinitz was that both were looking for truth absolute. Yet, while Steinitz knew only too well that there is no such thing as absolute truth and that all one can do is to strive for it, while Steinitz suffered deeply from his awareness of the relativity of all human knowledge, Tarrasch was the perennial optimist, firmly convinced of his own permanent security no less than of absolute truth being well within his reach. To him all his own notions and theories were invariably and eternally valid. That is where he differed from Steinitz, and very much more so from Lasker. As for Lasker's own incomparable greatness as a chess player, it rests in the very fact that he went on to carry Steinitz's relativism far beyond the point where the older man had come to a standstill. Steinitz did look for chess absolute, for the absolutely right move, even though he felt that it could only be found in utopia. Lasker did not even bother to look for it. He kept his eyes open and looked for flesh and blood. Both Steinitz and Tarrasch were mainly concerned with their own reasoning, and out of their own brains they endeavored to approach their conception of ultimate truth. But it never occurred to them, or at all events they never seriously considered, that in every contest over the chessboard there is yet another brain, another mind at work. They never considered their opponent. To them it was utterly irrelevant whoever happened to sit on the other side of the board. To Lasker it was vitally important. Steinitz always looked for the objectively right move. Tarrasch always claimed to have found the objectively right move. Lasker did nothing of the kind. He never bothered about what might or might not be the objectively right move. All he cared for was to find whatever move was likely to be most embarrassing for the specific person sitting on the other side of the board. He did not care whether that move was objectively right or wrong. He thought that there may well be quite a few right moves, exactly as many indeed as Steinitz said so himself in a most significant interview published in the British Chess Magazine of 1894, page 366. In the course of giving his opinions on Morphy he said, "Another remarkable gift was his intuitive knowledge of human nature. I think he played the man rather than the board." Here Steinitz was interrupted by the interviewer asking him if that did not apply to every chess player. Steinitz answered emphatically, "Not to me. Certainly not. I am fully and entirely concentrated on the board. I never even consider my opponent's personality. So far as I am concerned, my opponent can as well be an abstraction or an automaton. Playing the man though on the board. 3b. The number of opponents psychologically differing from one another. Steinitz and Tarrasch played chess in the vacuum of an abstraction. Lasker played the man rather than the board. Hence, Lasker's unique achievement was his ability to reflect the struggle of life on the chessboard, and since he knew more than his opponents about life and its riddles and contradictions, since he had an infinitely deeper knowledge than most of them about the complexities of the human mind, he reached his dominating position and maintained it even in old age. Certainly, to play chess as psychologically as Lasker did, required strength of character and the superhuman willpower of Nietzsche's Zarathustra. Indeed, it meant living dangerously. It meant fighting near the abyss rather than on less exacting and far less dangerous well-trodden paths in comfortable lowlands. It meant dragging the opponent through treacherous ravines, onto dizzy peaks, and across uncharted seas. One can easily falter that way, but so can the opponent. Let the better morale, the stronger character win. That was the basic maxim in Lasker's life. But what about those eminently logical principles established by Steinitz? Does not Lasker's conception of chess, one may well ask, does not such style and tactic revert to the very romanticism brushed away by Steinitz? Did not the romanticists to indulge in reaching out for dizzy heights and taking the glorious gamble on triumph or disaster? To ask such questions is to misunderstand Emanuel Lasker. For his game rests on the solid foundations of logic and reason as taught by Steinitz, but it rests on more than the mere logic of 32 symbols moving around 64 squares. It includes in 11 reasoning some deep knowledge of the human mind and all its vagaries. It is more than mere logic, it is psychologic. To be able to think and to act and to play like that, one must needs be a man of the world, one who knows many facets of life, one who has seen and seen through all manner of people, one who has knocked about this globe a bit. Lasker, just like Tarrasch, was born in Germany. But while Tarrasch, with all his voyages to tournaments and matches far afield, somehow never got beyond the city boundaries of Nuremberg or Munich and remained a solid German burgher all his life, Lasker really moved about, forever driven by the insatiable curiosity of the true vagabond, that unquenchable thirst for more knowledge, novel notions, new faces in yet another land. While Tarrasch, a true representative of his time, was a firm believer and guardian of all its values and always upholding and praising them, Lasker represented the other side of the medal, never content. 36 Emanuel Lasker with existing values and always skeptical about them. For Tarrasch life was static and the existing order inviolable, for Lasker it was dynamic and forever in flux. There is nothing very remarkable about such contrast. At all times there has been and there must be the conservative and the progressive. It takes both these elements of maintenance and drive to make a world. As for the world of chess in the 20 years before World War I, it would be unthinkable without Tarrasch, the conservative, and Lasker, the revolutionary. We need them both to give the picture its proper color and perspective, and both of them hailed from the same progenitor titans. Prefatory note on the games sections. Apart from 1 or 2 deletions and 2 or 3 addenda, I have followed the excellent choice of games in the original edition. With more than 500 recorded games to choose from, it seemed wise to limit the selection to round about 100, and then again not merely to pick such obvious choices as the master's most celebrated triumphs, but also some of the lesser-known games and certainly a few of his losses, so far as they happen to be of some special significance for the personality of our hero or for the circumstances and the psychological background of the games concerned. The problem was offered by the annotation no less than the selection of the games. Considering that many of them were played in the last century and some of the most important ones as long as 40 to 50 years ago, it seemed tempting to have the games completely re-annotated in the light of the most modern development of opening theory. I toyed with the idea, but I am glad I rejected it just as the author and the original publisher had done before me. I think they were wise in doing so because what matters in this book is not to add just another one to many excellent and up-to-date treatises on modern opening theory. What mattered in these pages is to bring a man Emanuel Lasker to life, and so far as his games are concerned, the best course obviously is to look at them in the light of their origin, to see them as Lasker himself and his opponents and contemporaries saw them. After all, they included some of the finest annotators of all times. Only the pick of such contemporary comment including, often enough, Lasker's own was selected, and wherever it happens to have been disproved by more modern experience and analysis, this was duly noted by Rudolf Teschner. In securing the services of so erudite and modern a theoretician, the author and the original, playing the man on the board, publishers struck a very happy balance in making the games sections sufficiently up-to-date and yet maintaining the background and atmosphere of Lasker's own epic. Teschner's comments are sparing and to the point, and while using every one of them they are marked RT and italicized. I have ventured, here and there, to add some further comment from various modern sources. Considering that a good many readers, knowing little or nothing about chess, would be mainly interested in Lasker's achievements in other fields and in his fascinating personality, it seemed a plausible idea to separate the games section from the biographical text. It would be very wrong, though, for whether he liked it or not, and most of the time he didn't like it, his addiction to chess was an integral part of Lasker's personality, and just so the pattern of his chess career, complete with his frequent escapes from it and his inevitable return, is inextricably interwoven with the growth of that interesting personality, glittering in so numerous and so diverse facets. For a chess player, and after all, many thousands of readers are bound to be chess players to comprehend the growth of Lasker's fascinating personality, he will want to play over his games, and he will want to do it chronologically. Hence, the games selected and the appropriate tournament tables have been spread all over the book in various sections placed in whichever part of the narrative they happen to belong. HF Game Primus section. Game 1 Birds opening Lasker rating 2720 Johann H. Bauer rating 2460 Amsterdam August 26, 1889 International Tournament 1 Pawn King Bishop 4 Commentary. The only recorded instance of Lasker's adoption of this rarely played opening. And of commentary 1. Pawn Quen 4 to Pawn King 3 Nig King Bishop 3 3 Pawn Queen Nig 3 Commentary. Not the most precise continuation. 3 Nig King Bishop 3 would have been better, for now black could play 3. PQ5, completely disorganizing his opponent's plan. And of commentary 3. Pawn King 3 for Bishop Chi Knight to Bishop King 2 5 Bishop Queen 3 Commentary. Clearly revealing his intention of obtaining a king-side attack, and doubtless better than Bishop King 2 or Pawn King 3 followed by PKD2. And of commentary 5. Pawn Queen Nig 3 6 Knight Queen Bishop 3 Bishop Knight to 7 KDB 3 Q KDQ to 8 Castle 9 KDK2 reinforcing the projected attack by opening the QB diagonal and bringing the KD to the other wing 9. PB for here black should have seized the opportunity of ridding himself of one of the dangerous bishop by KDB 4 etc. Deutschskat 10 KDKB 3 QB2 11 KDK5 KDX KB. This is rather risky and demands careful play on black's part. PKD3 would have been safer despite the weakening of the diagonal. 12 BX KDQB3 with the transparent threat of page Q5 13 QK to PQR3. In order to play KDQ2 without having to fear BKD5. But 13 KDQ2 was imperative. Positioned after black's 13th move. 14 KDR5. After this there is no saving the game for black. 14 KDK 115 BX KDXB 16 Q KD4 14 page R3 15 BX KD BXB 16 KDXB CHPX KD 17 Q KD4 8 KR 118 QR4 KD 219 RB3 KRQ 120R KD3 CH etc. Build 14 page Q5 15 BX KD BXB 16 Q KD4 KR 117 RB3 RKKDL 18 BXKRP KRQ 119 QR3 BK 220B K4 etc. 14 KDXKD leading to a brilliant refutation which has since served as a classic example of the power of united BS. 15 BXPCH. Black no doubt expected 15 QXKD, PB4 etc. 15 KXB 16 QXKDCH KKDL 17 Play a really beautiful move which adds luster to Lasker's combination. 17 KXB PB3 would lose quickly because of RB3 KD3. 18 QKD4 Kite KR2 19 RB3 page K420R R3 CH QR3 21 RXQCH KXR 22 QQ7. This move crowns the combination begun on the 14th move. 22 B kilobytes 323 QXB KKD2 not 23 PX page 24 QX KDP KKD2 25 R kilobytes 1. But black's game is hopeless anyway. 24 R kilobytes 1 QRKDL 25 QQ7 brightly damningly Ray Q Sidsi pawns in favor of the attack. Playing the man on the board. 39 25 ICRQ 129 QKD6 page B326 QKD4CH KB30 RXBCH BXR 27 PX BKD2 31 QXBCH KK1 BXP would, of course, lose 30 to QR8 CH KK to the beat, on account of QB5 33 Q KD7 CH resigns 23 PK6 notes by Fred Rienfeld in this settles matters. ZR. Lasker's chess career 28. Art 2. Game to Vienna Game Mises Lasker match game at Berlin 1889 1 PIC for page K4 to it QB3 BB4 3 PK KD3 KD QB3 4 B KD2 page Q3 5 KDR for question mark KD K2 BK3 6 KDX BPX KD 7 PQ 3 KDB3 8 KDK to QQ3. After the routine 8.0209020 followed by P kilobytes 4. White would obtain a strong attack. 9 P kilobytes for PKR.4 to discourage white from castling K side. 10 PB5 blocking the position does not appreciably help white. He should rather have continued with PKR3, followed by PK3. QQ2 and eventually 00 negative 0. 10. BQ to 11 BKD5 question mark BK3. KDR2 12 BK3 000 13 KDB3 planning the risky attack against Black's K which is not justified by White's insufficient development. 13 QQ2 could have been played quite safely. 13 KDB3 14 KDKD5 QK to 15 PB3 PB51. 15. PR3 was more prudent. 16 PQKD4 for here 16 QR4 and if PR3 17 PX would have yielded a powerful attack. 16 KDX KDP 17 KDXBCH KDL 18 PX KD declining the sacrifice would leave White with a hopelessly disorganized game. 18 QXBCH 19 KDL KD 520 BKDL 521 Dark KDL QR 622 QK2 RXB 23 PR3 despite his material advantage, White's position is untenable. If for example 23 QKD2, RQ8CH 24 RXR, QXQ 23, KRQU, White probably expected KDK6CH 24 BXKD, RXB25 QXBP, KXKD 26 QXQBP with counterplay. Emanuel Lasker 40. Position after Black's 27th move. 24 PXKD PB6. 25 KDB6 CHBX KD26 BK3 PB7. But not 26 RXB. 27 QXR. Page B7 28 RXP Chi and wins 27 QXB RXB 28 KB2 28 QXB is refuted by R, Q8 CH etc. 28. RB6 White resigns. If 29 QKD2, QB4 CH, followed by R, B7. A spirited game in which the youthful Lasker carries out the attack in the most elegant style. Notes by Fred Rienfeld in Dr. Lasker's chess career. Game 3. Vienna Game. Blackburn-Lasker. London Tournament of the BCF. March 1890 to 1 PK4 page K4 2 KDQB3 KD kilobytes 33 PB4 page Q4 for BPXB KDXB 5 QB3 P kilobytes for more usual is the line of play recommended by Steinitz. 5. KDQB3 6 BKD5 KDX KD7 KDPX KD QR5 CH8 P KD3 QK5 CH etc. The text leads to more complicated play. 6 KDR3 this is too slow. 6 PQ3 seems best, with the continuation KDX KD7 PX KD, page Q5 AQ KD3 with good prospects. 6 PB3, rather conservative. On 6 KDB3 Tarash gives 7 BKD5, QR5 CH8 KB1 as best for White. 7 KDK27 Blackburn wishes to dislodge Black's KD by PQ3 without allowing an exchange. But this is not an unmixed blessing, since White's minor pieces are so badly posted. 7 PQ3 was essential, instead of the line-blasting text. 7 BK to 8 PQ3 KDB4 9 PR3 0 to 0 10 BK3 QKDQ to 11 BXKD if instead 11 PQ for KDK5, followed by QKD3. 11 QB4 would lose the KD after. KDK3 12 QKD37. PR5 11, KDXB 12 KD3B for QKD3. Playing the man on the board. Very strong. White's best reply would have been 13 page QKD3 13 PQKD4 creating a new weakness which enables Black to institute an energetic attack. 13 KDQ to 14 PQ for PQR4. 15 RQKDL 15 PB3 would, of course, be useless. PXP 16 DPXP, BXPCH etc. 15 PXP. Position after White's 16th move. 16 PXP BXPCH. This is not so much a sacrifice as a profitable investment. 17 PB3 BXPCH 18 KDXBQXP. The ultimate result cannot be in doubt. Black gets for PS for the piece, open lines for the attack, and White's K is dangerously exposed. 19 KDB for K to he must provide 4. RR6 19 QXB 20 QB for QB 321 KDQ for KDB4, threatening to win the piece by KDK3. 22 QQ2 KDK 523 KDX KDB PX KD 24 QK3 RR 525 KDB2 white must give way. A plausible continuation after 25 RQ1 would be ... page before 26 KDB2, page Q527 Q2, page K628 QK2, BKD 525. RR726 RB1 BKD 527 BK2 BXB 28 KXBQ KD 729 KQ1 QKD 430 RK1 F30 KK1 QQ631 QK2 PQ5 wins easily 30. RKD7 not 30. QQ6CH31 QXQ PXQ at once because of 30 to KD4. Blackburn misses the point and loses at once. 31 QK to QQ6CH 30 to QXQ PXQ white resigns as he must lose a piece. Lasker's play throughout is characterized by superb vigor. Notes by Fred Rienfeld in Dr. Lasker's chess career. Game 3A1 PQ for PQ for V. Fearful Lasker to be B for PQB for Breslau Hauptturnier 27 July 1889 3 PXB KDQB 3 Queens Pawn for KD Kilobytes 3 PB3. 42 Emanuel Lasker 5 PK3 PK4 an elegant way of clinching 6 BKD3 BXB issue, but white was lost 7 PB3 KDK2 in any case. 8 QKDQ to BK3 31 KDXB PXKP what with his firm grip on the 32 PB3 BB5 center black has got much the 33 KR1 BXB better of the opening 34 QXB BKDL. 9 QR4 page QR3 35 BXBR to XB10 RQ1 page QKD4 36 KKDL QKD3 11 QB2 QBEL 37 KDQ3 RK1 12 page QR3 020 38 KD4 B5 RQ1 13 BK2 BB4 39 PKD4 KDR 5 14 QB1 RR2 40 QXB QB2 15 020 page KD4 41 RBL KDKB3 16 KRK1 KR1 42 QB2 KDB5 17 KDB1 QK3 43 QKR2 QK4 18 RQ2 RQ2 44 RKDL QQ for 19 KRQ1 KDR4 45 QQB2 KDXBCH 20 PKD4 KDK 16 46 KR2 KDB5 21 QKD2 KDXR resigns 22 RX KDBR2 This game is practically un 23 PQR4 RKD2 known, having been published 24 PXB only in the book of the turn 25 RQ1 QB3 mint and then, nearly 70 years 26 KDLQ to BK3. Later, in the Wild Jill Crawl 27 PR3 RBL collection. Yet, the game, on 28 RQB1 KDB4 distinguished though it is, has 29 BR to PK5 some very considerable position after White's 30th move Tans in the history of chess. It was the decider of the Type 4 30 KDK1 P05. First prize in the Haupt to Macrease and by winning the game, young Lasker got the coveted title of Deutschermeister, thereby being set for his career. Had he lost the game the title would have gone to Fearful, and it is more than probable that Lasker would have given up chess altogether. Hence, this game may well be considered the most important in high-registered trademark career.